Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
If I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're fading, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I'm starting off laughing, but just the craziest stuff on Twitter. So I'm going to tell you, why not? You're here. Y'all know I do the LP historical project, and the storage facility for the records is in Colorado. It's in Littleton, Colorado, but the address happens to be on South Park Way. Some deranged people on Twitter are claiming that the storage facility doesn't really exist because it's on South Park Way. You literal walnuts, South Park is a literal place in Colorado. The show is named after it. My God. Anyway, I am glad you all are here, and hello, Dave and JJ. This is going to be a relatively short show, but I'll probably be doing another one later. I think I am going to do one on history later. Didn't do a show for the past couple nights, and I like to keep up, and I'm moving into my heavy committee week. Next week is the week. It's just the way the committees are falling, where I have like a meeting, I think, every night. So it gets crazy. Let me do the YouTuber stuff and we will get going. If you are not subscribed to this channel, you rebellious libertarians, please do subscribe. It helps. It does help. I truly appreciate it. You can follow me on X Twitter at Karen Ann Harlos. Again, something else I would really appreciate. And last but certainly not least, would really like to boost my Patreon numbers, and apparently that irritates the fakertarians. And I'm just waiting for the fan fiction story about how I drive to downtown Denver every morning to pretend like I have a job. I want to see this fan fiction. It's quite fantastic. So yes, please support me on Patreon so I don't have to pretend like I have a job in downtown Denver. So patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. And, you know, I know it's rough financial times, and of course, all super chats and super thanks matter. So would appreciate your consideration. Definitely will not belabor the point. So let's set up what the subject for the show is. Got a little bit of a dry mouth. A lot of you know that I've become a fan, even though certainly don't agree on everything, and I think he would have some very strong words for my beliefs, but I've become a fan of listening to James Lindsay's very long form. And like, you guys think I am long-winded? Oh no, my sweet summer child. So very long form philosophical videos. I'm truly enjoying them. And he did a video called American MAOISM. Check it out. If I remember, I'll put a link in the show notes, but what a fantastic presentation. And there's just 2 clips I wanted to get from it to discuss because they just struck me as particularly meaningful. You might not feel the same way, but I wanted to discuss them. And I know what I'm going to say next is not going to be popular amongst certain cadre of libertarians, but it is absolutely foolish to say that libertarians, I'm not saying the party, though I'm not saying the party, not saying the party either, but right now I'm just talking about individual libertarians. There is no such thing as not being part of the quote-unquote culture war, because it is a literal war against humanity. And Lindsay really points it out. You think ignoring the culture war is the right thing? Go talk to some people from Maoist China as to whether that's a good thing. Go talk to Lily Tang Williams, who used to be the Libertarian Party of Colorado State Chair, and she's got a ton of videos on YouTube as well. No, this is a battle for the soul of humanity. I'm not talking about like the minor issues, like who gives a crap if someone is gay and like that kind of dumb stuff. But what I am talking about is the powers that be and the self-appointed censors and experts telling you that you cannot believe the evidence before your eyes, that they are going to redefine reality for you, and you had better fall in line, comrade. South Park, I don't know if it's based on fair play, but it is named after South Park, Colorado. There's also a North Park, Colorado, which some people don't know. And park in the sense that it is meant, at least in the name of South Park, Colorado, park, it means like a wide open space. So you have South Park, which is just like right in the foothills where you get into this wide open space before you get up into the mountains. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've driven through South Park, but it's pretty empty. So it might actually be based upon fair play, which actually has people there, but there is a literal place in Colorado called South Park. And yes, everyone in that area does drive Subarus. If you watch that segment, that little musical segment of South Park where they're like, and we're in our happy little mountain town, you know, and they're all driving around in the Subarus. I had a Subaru that looked like nearly exactly like that. Frickin' Coloradans love their Subarus. But anyway, back to American MAOISM. So 2 clips, probably going to start and stop them, but I thought very, very insightful from James Lindsay, and here is the first one.
That's what their synthetic world is all about. And it all boils down to marrying a truth to a lie, or that thing that you do and the perverted thing that we want to do in its name are really the same thing. That's the dialectic. And what it is done, what it's used to do is to create a cult. You have to understand that that's the point. Why would you remove distinctions? So you can remove understanding. Whose understanding? Yours. So how do you understand the world around you? How do you make sense of the world? Well, you have to defer to an expert. One of the cult leaders has to tell you. So you guys thought it was just maybe scary or maybe funny or maybe whatever. Everybody thought this. Nobody really they're starting to grasp it. But the point, when you had my senator, Marsha Blackburn, grilling Ketanji Brown Jackson before she was appointed to the Supreme, or was confirmed to the Supreme Court, and she said, "What is a woman?" And Ketanji Brown Jackson said, "I don't know. I'm not a biologist." Turns out she did make a mistake. She chose the wrong kind of expert. A gender studies professor would have been the right answer. But what she said, in truth, is, I can't make a basic determination about fundamental reality for myself. I have to ask a cult leader. The cult tells me what a man is and what a woman is. I can't tell for myself. And these people that we call experts are the people who are given the power in that cult to tell us what reality is. We are not able to make those decisions for ourselves. So guess what that makes us? Dependent on people who have arbitrary power to determine how we understand the world, which is exactly what totalitarians and particularly communists do all the time. The truth is what Mao says the truth is. The truth is what Hitler says the truth is. The truth is whichever dictator says the truth is. I have to ask a biologist to know what I have in between my legs. And if you make that joke as the response, they'll say, "You're so focused on genitals, so now you're the bad person," when in fact, I don't think we are the ones that are that focused on genitals. I think we would all like to stop talking about them all the time. I don't think in my entire life I ever wanted to have conversations with other adult human beings about the genitals of children because certain people have decided that cutting them off is a great way to deal with their mental illness. I never wanted to have to do that. I don't think any of us did.
You might not agree with everything he said, but I do think he made some fantastic points. We have entered the portion of reality where we cannot even say something so basic as what a woman is, what reality is, what hate is, what love is, what morality is. And never mind reminding you of Maoism. It should remind you of like terrifying political systems. The party will tell you what truth is. The party is light and truth and goodness. It is absolutely bonkers. And most of us have fallen in line and we self-censor because the social Gestapo is out to get you. And you think you can ignore the culture war when it says a frickin' woman can't say what a woman is because they're not a biologist? And that's normal to us? Are you out of your mind? How did we get here? Next one.
So their goal is to create a cult where the people who are in the party are the ones who understand and have the power to dictate what reality is to everybody else, and you do not have that power. You are dependent on them to understand the world around you. This tends to get bent on things like collectivism and world domination. That's what communism really comes down to, but it's not just that. The general term for this, I said that this was progressive leftism. It is actually progressive socialism when you try to use this dialectical political warfare strategy to take over the world and get everybody on the same kind of political program. It's all socialism. The Nazis called themselves National Socialists for a reason. So when you have what you might consider, and these words are virtually obsolete now, but you have left-wing progressive socialists, we call those people communists, and when you have right-wing progressive socialists, those people are called fascists. And that's the simple truth. What they have in common is that they are progressive socialists, which are to the left of everybody else in society by a long way. So it's imagine like you go all the way off to the left, and there's a left wing and a right wing in that. That's the difference between Nazis and communists.
That to me was the best explanation of like political spectrum wise of Nazism and like communism / socialism, well, they're both forms of socialist, progressivism, that I have heard in a long time. You know, people want to claim like Nazism is far right. I actually think these things start to really go off the political spectrum, but it's this high level of social control that is socialistic. I mean, don't forget that the Nazi symbol was the bundle of sticks, the Fasci, that were stronger together than apart. Diversity is our strength. It is insane. So those are really the only two clips that I had wanted to play, because I wanted to encourage you to go listen to his show and start to think a little bit more critically about what we're just going through as a society. And those of you know, I'm not a particularly socially conservative person, much more on the socially liberal side. This kind of stuff is absolutely terrifying. It's not socially liberal. It is social totalitarianism. It's completely encompassing. If you're terrified by like terrified's probably not the right word. Horrified is probably the better word. By things that I also talk about, like Christian nationalism, because it's the rigid, enforced worldview, enforced conformity. This kind of crap is just as terrifying. And while I do think Christian nationalism is a real threat, this is actually here now. You see the government movement toward what would be the American equivalent of social credit. You should be terrified and wanting to fight back. If you don't think the state and the powerful are trying to define our reality, did you forget COVID? And all the stuff that is coming out now? It is insane to me. Wake up. And you don't have to agree with everything he said, but to merely question the narrative is becoming verboten. Wake up while there's still time. Yeah, fascism was the bundle of sticks. I'm so sorry. That was in chat. That was a slip of the tongue. Though Nazis were fascists, so I mean, I think I was just narrowing it to a specific group of fascists rather than fascists in general. So I know we're all a bunch of autistic pedants, so that's fine, because that is technically correct. So I hope you found these clips, you know, at least somewhat thought-provoking. Earlier today, I had this great conversation with Samuel Bowler. He's on the Historical Preservation Committee. We were talking about the potential promise of AI, but also the more likely existential threat of AI. And when you have conversations that deal with Darwinianism and the somewhat vindication of the hopeful monster theory and the Fermi paradox, it was a great conversation. All right, you guys, I am probably going to pull out one of these articles that were referenced from UPI or AP and do another show on that. But I've got quite a few things to record tonight, so hopefully you will see me again in a little bit. But if not, or if so, have an awesome evening. Bye-bye.
gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians, or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.